good morning, afternoon, or evening, and welcome to the Bloody Disgusting Network. The following show is just horrifying. Beware.
I'm sorry, but get off my fucking windshield!
And welcome back to Horror Queers. We're talking about something very near and dear to our hearts, and I'm Joe.
And I'm Trace, and we are revisiting Scream almost 2 years after our first discussion of it in our well, I was going to say our pilot episode, but I guess that was speed dating. In our second episode.
Indeed, yeah. So we have covered this on the main feed. We have an audio commentary on it on the Patreon. And yeah, we're doing it a third time. But folks, this is not going to be your grandma's rehash of Scream. We've got something a little bit more fun in store.
Yes, so what we are doing is we are doing 25 reasons we love Scream. And yeah, at the risk of, I don't know, being a BuzzFeed listicle, it's not going to be obvious. It's literally like we both watched this movie again and we were like, what are things that stood out to us as to what do we remember from this movie? So it may be an inconsequential detail. It may be one line of dialogue. It may be a piece of score. I know, but I know my stuff. So I don't know. It's going to be really fun. But, Joe, before we go into our list, why don't we talk about the number one reason this film has really had like a lasting impression on cinema, on mainstream audiences, on horror audiences, on queer audiences?
Absolutely. Yeah. You and I haven't revealed our half of this list, so we've each picked 12. And then we had to come to some kind of consensus about why this film is so meaningful and great. And we ended up coming down on 2. Mm-hmm. I think they're probably pretty obvious to folks, so I'll talk about one. You can maybe talk about the other one. So the one that I think most people naturally gravitate to is this opening segment. So we've got Drew Barrymore. She's making popcorn. She gets a phone call. This scene has been parodied to death. Everybody knows it. Everybody can probably recite nearly all the dialogue. And I think that's a testament to how significant it has become in the horror lexicon. Like, we've talked about it before as an almost perfect horror short. Like, you could take this scene, remove it from the film entirely, and it would probably be one of the best shorts that we have ever seen.
It's so funny because I guess I've seen this movie so many times, I don't really find it scary anymore. But when you sit down and watch this opening scene, I mean, again, you have to give credit to Barrymore because she was supposed to play Sidney Prescott. And she was like, whether it was because she was like, I don't really want to do a whole fucking film. Like, I just want to do the opening scene. But what she has always said is like, she was like, oh, it would be so good if you hired the quote unquote most famous person in the cast and killed them in the opening scene. And so whether that is the real reason or not, nevertheless, like, it is a genius stroke of marketing, of casting. Like, it's, yes, this scene stands the test of time. It is fucking fantastic, and it is genuinely scary. I mean, again, I would love to relive this scene for the first time.
Yeah. Actually, do you remember where you were? Like, what was your Scream story? Because I feel like we actually didn't cover that in our previous episodes.
The problem for me was I knew going in because this was definitely a movie where I was in 8th grade. My mom was out of town for a week. My dad rented me 10 R-rated movies, and 3 of them were the Scream trilogy. But when I first heard about Scream, I was actually staying with my grandparents in Louisiana for like a week because that was what I did every summer. I would stay with them for a week. And when my parents came to pick us up, I mean, I was 7 when this movie came out.
Right.
And my mom was so mad. She doesn't like horror movies very much. And she was like, oh my God, Boots, my dad Boots, got me to go see this horror movie. He got me to go because Drew Barrymore was in it. And this woman dies in the first 10 minutes of the movie. And so I just remember my mom being so mad that she was essentially tricked into going to see a horror movie with Drew Barrymore only to watch her die 10 minutes into the movie.
So she was basically Maureen in Scream 2 to Phil, where she's just like, oh my God, I can't believe you're making me watch this. I could be watching some Sandra Bullock shit.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I also had this spoiled for me because I think I may have told this story, but it wasn't really on my radar. I was working at the $2 movie theater, so like a revival theater. So I was seeing a lot of movies at the time, and my sister and her friends went and watched this. And then when I got home that night from working my movie shift, my sister basically said like, oh yeah, we went to see this movie called Scream. Nobody's really talking about it because of course the movie nearly bombed in its first week.
Mm-hmm.
And she then proceeded to say, well, you're never going to see it. So she then spoiled the whole fucking thing. There's two killers. Drew Barrymore dies in the beginning, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, cool, whatever. Thanks for saving me the time. And then the thing becomes a fucking runaway success. And it's all anybody talks about for the next 8 months.
I will say I only had the Drew Barrymore thing killed for me. I really didn't know. Oh, and I also had Rose McGowan's death because whenever she was cast on Charm, there was a TV Guide thing where it was like, who's replacing Shannon Doherty on Charm? Oh, it's Rose McGowan. You may know her as the girl who was crushed by a garage door in Scream. But I didn't know the two killer reveal. So that was like when I first saw Scream, that was a genuine shock to me.
Nice.
But that, and like, I mean, again, the overall meta-ness of it and how self-aware it was, I think that contributes to its lasting impact on audiences. But let's talk about why maybe us horror queers, us and all the queers out there in the world, gravitate towards this film. And while we can all latch on to the queen final girl, Sidney Prescott,
right,
I don't think this is her moment. I really do think Scream 2 is... Scream 2 is where she is like, I am reclaiming my power, I'm a badass bitch.
Right. She doesn't get the crown in season 1, is what you're saying.
100%, because who does get the crown is Courtney Cox as Gale fucking Weathers. I mean, our first season of the show, Joe, our first year of the show, we had one of her sound bites in our opening theme. Gale Weathers is an icon, and I fucking love her. And if they kill her in Scream 2022, I'm going to be very upset.
Yeah, we also have her as our intro for most of 2021.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, to say that she is like a queer icon is almost underselling it. I think in part because she embodies a brash, sexually progressive woman who is unafraid of speaking her mind. She is unapologetically ambitious, and also, you know, the candy hard exterior conceals an ooey gooey center where everything about her journey with Dewey is great throughout the films, but watching them fall in love and her kind of fighting the attraction to his Barney Fifer-nish in this. Five-fishness. You know what? We will deal with this in a couple of days when we do our annual bloopers episode.
There you go.
But yes, just everything about the way Courtney Cox embodies this character. And this is our introduction to her, right? I didn't think Courtney Cox had this in her.
Well, and that's on her. I think she even campaigned for this role because she was like, she wanted to play a bitch. She did. I mean, she's 2 seasons into Friends at this time. She's, this cute girl next door. And she'd done like, a couple movies like Cocoon 2 and, and Ace Ventura.
Right.
And, this character, she's bitchy, she's opportunistic, she is quippy, but at the same time, yeah, like you said, she has this ooey gooey heart in the center. And the film also is aware of that and gives her a moment at the end of this movie. Like, she could have been written off as, oh, she's just this fucking bitch reporter, whatever. But they give her this awesome, like, comeback at Billy Loomis. Kevin Williamson knew what character he had on his hands.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And I think that dovetails nicely into the rest of our discussion. So, folks, as we said, we've each got 12. We haven't ranked these, so they're not like ascending or descending, or one is not better or worse than the other. Yeah. We haven't shared them with each other, so this is going to be a bit of a surprise. But I'm fully expecting to talk about the script and the characters, because that is one of Scream's greatest assets, is that these are films that care about making memorable characters, and then the actors that get cast in them are really fucking memorable.
I feel like our lists are going to be very different because mine are such inconsequential things.
Okay.
My list is in sequential order, in the order they happen in the film.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, why don't you start us off, since it'll happen early on?
So my first one is the hungry... yeah, that Ghostface says to Drew Barrymore in the very first scene.
Yes.
The delivery of this line is so I don't want to say bizarre. It's just very unique. And it's like this hungry, like, I'm going to fucking murder you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so... it just sticks in my head. And it's also very creepy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, big props to Roger L. Jackson. Ghostface as a character design, I actually don't find super memorable apart from the white mask, but it's all about the voice to me. And we've talked before about the sexiness of Ghostface, but there's something captivating about the voice.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And that, is one of them. Also, I mean, this isn't on my list, but no, you listen, you little bitch! Love that.
Ooh, that transition between soft and hard.
Mm-hmm. But what's your next? What's your first one, Joe?
So my first one is also all about the delivery, and I'm going to give shout out. I don't know who this actress is, but Leonora Scafello is the cheerleader in the bathroom who talks shit about Sidney Prescott.
Okay, so we do have bonus options, and I feel like this was in case we had matching ones, because this bitch is on my list. But continue your thought.
Okay, so my thought is I'm going to give you a dramatic reading, and then I would like to hear your dramatic reading of this, because it is literally all about the attitude that this actress imbues in this nothing character. Think about it. Her mother's death leaves her disturbed and hostile in a cruel and inhumane world. She's delusional, where's God, etc. Completely suicidal. One day, she snaps. She wants to kill herself. But she realizes that teen suicide is out this year, and homicide is a much healthier therapeutic expression.
So, just so you know, so this is on my list, and what I have bathroom cheerleader, maybe she's a slut, just like her mother. And the thing with that line is, because I have seen memes where it's like, someone's like, maybe it's Maybelline, and then it cuts to maybe she's a slut, just like her mother. And I'm like, the gays got it. But the mispronunciation of homicide is really the nail on that drives this home here, because it is so fucking funny. All right, let me try this. Okay. So say cut off some slack. She watched her mom get butchered.
Cut her some slack. She watched her mom get butchered.
And it fucked her up royally. Think about it. Her mother's death leaves her disturbed and hostile in a cruel and inhumane world. She's delusional, where's God, etc., completely suicidal. One day she snaps. She wants to kill herself, but she realizes that teen suicide is out this year, and homicide is a much healthier therapeutic expression.
Where do you get this shit? Ricky Lake.
All right, my next one is going back into the opening scene. I feel like we did discuss this in our episode on Scream way back when in 2019, but it is actually the chair jump scare when Drew Barrymore is hiding behind the TV and the chair is thrown through the glass window.
Oh, yeah.
I remember the first time I saw this. There's a moment, because you see the shadow of the chair like cross before it actually smashes the glass. This jump scare got me the first time I saw this movie. 100% got me. And it's great. I mean, it's on par with Ghostface jumping out of the closet in the first Sydney encounter. So
yeah, I think the reason it works so well here is you're expecting something to happen, but you think that we're going to have to see him. We don't just expect an inanimate object of furniture to come through this glass door.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's not even a sound cue associated with it. It's just the sound of the glass breaking, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, because you hate a musical cue.
Well, because it's the movie telling you, be scared, jump out of your seat. Just use natural sound. It's fine.
Oh. You know what? One of these days we're going to talk to somebody who does sounds for horror films, and they will tell us maybe why they have to do it this way. But I agree with you. It's a great moment.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to jump ahead to a Gale Weathers moment near the end of the film. It is when she discovers that Kenny, her cameraman, has been killed, and he is on top of the van as she is trying to drive away. And you and I delighted in the revelation that neither one of us knew what the fuck Courtney Cox says in this moment. Get off my fucking windshield.
Okay. God damn it, this is on my list too, so I'm pulling from 2 bonuses now. But no, I have in my notes, because what I always thought you said, oh God, Kenny, I'm sorry, but get off my fucking Quaggia!
Yeah.
What's a Quaggia?
I remember in our episode, we were like, is that the model of the van?
I had no fucking clue, but honestly, it was validating for me, because when I said that, when you said, oh my God, me too, I was like, oh my God, hashtag me too.
No,
I'm not co-opting, I promise. No, it is, and what's so funny is people reached out to us and were like, I thought the same fucking thing. It totally, it doesn't make any sense. She is not dictating properly.
Or they just thought, you know what, this is such a good moment, even though that one word isn't quite clear, we don't want to do a second take because it's good.
Well, I think you hear the sound of the tire screeching over. I think that's the problem. But nevertheless, I'm not going to get into technicalities. But yes, it is such a good moment, and I'm really glad to know that we are not alone in A, not knowing what she is saying, and B, loving what she is saying.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I am actually still in the opening scene for mine, but this is the end.
Okay. I mean, there's a reason we talked about it.
No, I know, but it's such a silly thing. So it is the score. So Marco Beltrami's score. It is when Drew Barrymore sees her parents driving through the road in the middle of the cornfields.
Oh, yes.
Honestly, it's kind of a goofy piece of score where it's like, ba-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum. And honestly, I do think it sounds so out of place.
Really?
I don't think it's suspenseful. I think it's very goofy. But
I disagree. I disagree strongly.
But it's so memorable to me, and I'm like, every time I'm like, oh, I'm waiting for this fucking car to pull up, and dum.
Casey, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, no, I knew I could rely on you to bring in at least one piece of the score, because Beltrami's score overall is really, it's fantastic. Okay, so my third one is a Tatum moment. It was actually a toss-up between who has the more iconic deliveries in this film. Is it Gale or is it Tatum? I'm a huge Tatum fan. I love Rose McGowan in this film. And one of the lines that I have actually said in my regular life a lot is, who am I, the beer wench?
I feel like there's someone on Twitter who follows me whose name is the beer wench too, and I was like, who says wench anymore?
Well, and that's the funny thing. Like, we're going to talk more about Kevin Williamson, I think, as we go through this, but for me, some of this dialogue is just so unusual and also very memorable. Like, it sticks in your head because it doesn't sound like anybody else's dialogue.
Yeah, this is the first we've, like, that audiences are introduced to Kevin Williamson. So this was, I mean, if I was getting a pull quote from, like, I don't know, Fox TV on the Scream poster. Fun, hip, and scary.
Always. And don't forget to include all of the young, attractive people in some kind of V that moves away from us.
Okay, I know people shit on that. I love it. Honestly, give me a 2022 slasher with that. They tried to do it with Scream 4 and people really shit on it, but I was like, no, this is what we want. This is what I want.
It just brings me right back to the 90s. And yeah, it all started here.
All right, so my next one is also a piece of score. It's used twice in the film, and it is when Ghostface attacks Sydney in her home and she's running up the stairs to get to her door and to use the closet door. It is also used when Tatum is throwing beer bottles at Ghostface.
Oh, okay.
But it's like, it's just, this is, ba-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum. Like, it's not as goofy, but there's just something weird. Just these horns going off, and it just, I don't know. It's such a distinctly memorable piece of score that, A, they use it twice in the film, and this is the piece that they use in Halloween H2O when they fire John Ottman, and they were like, well, let's bring in Beltrami's score from Scream, and this is what they use when Michael Myers is walking down the hallway to chase them out of the building.
Yeah, so memorable it gets used twice in a single film, and then repurposed in another Kevin Williamson adjacent slasher.
Yep, 100%.
So good. Okay, my next one is another Tatum line, and this is another quote that I have said far too often in my regular life, despite the fact that it does not at all fit into regular person dialogue. So, It is after Sydney has punched out Gale in the alleyway, and they're back at Tatum's house, and they're sitting on their beds, and Tatum is replaying this whole scene, and she just goes, God, I loved it. I'll send you a copy. Bam! Bitch went down.
Sid, super bitch.
Yes, you're so cool.
So, I initially had this on my list. Then I moved it to bonus, and then I had to push it out because of other things. So, yes, I'm glad that you said this because, yeah, bam, bitch went down. I'll send you a copy. Bam, bitch went down. Sid, super bitch. Ugh, love it.
So good.
My next one would have been the bathroom cheerleader, so let me pick one for my bonuses.
Okay.
I am going to say Matthew Lillard's tongue.
Oh, okay.
This, I mean, obviously, when I saw this for the first time, I was not thinking. Actually, it's funny enough. So, whenever he does his tongue the first time, which I think is at the fountain, my dad was like, "Ooh, he'd make any girl happy."
Oh, wow. And you were like, or boys, Dad, or boys.
Well, I don't think I knew what he was. I mean, I think I knew. Yeah, I knew what eating pussy was at the time. I don't know. But nevertheless, I was like, okay. But now when I watch it, I'm like, oh my God, my hole just twitched.
I think my sphincter just got a tiny bit excited.
Honestly, like, I know it'll never happen, but sitting on Matthew Lillard's face is like a bucket list idea. No. I know it sounds like I'm being like really crude for crude's sake, but no, literally, like, could you imagine getting eaten out by that tongue?
I mean, I think it would be new and exciting pleasures. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, you're so basic. Anyway, sorry. I'm really horny for Matthew Lillard's tongue.
There we go. Not the entire actor, just the length of that tongue.
Just the tongue. That's all I need.
Okay, back to me. So my next pick is Gale Weathers, but it's not a line of dialogue. It's the iconic lime green suit.
Okay, so sometimes it looks lime green, sometimes it looks like a neon yellow highlighter.
Yes, indeed. In fact, I actually feel like we could do one of the like white dress, blue dresses.
Yeah.
Folks, let us know. Is it yellow or is it green? We don't know. I do feel like this film has an interesting color palette when it comes to some of the costuming. I was re-watching the Tatum death scene today, and like she's wearing a psychedelic mini skirt and again a questionable lime green or fluorescent yellow not tube top, but some kind of weird top.
It's like a sweater. No, I almost put Tatum's like cosmic spiral shirt on my list as well. Skirt.
Yeah.
It is so distinctive. The color combination is very bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the night, Liz. It's the 90s.
Indeed. Yep.
So, okay, here's my first obvious one, but my next one is the shot of Ghostface's reflection in Henry Winkler's eye before we cut to schools out for the summer.
Yeah, we hate the Weinsteins, but I will say that is one of the good additions that they forced into this film.
And honestly, it's so funny because watching it again, I was like, I mean, this must have been stunt casting at the time, right? To have Henry Winkler play this role. But he played it straight. And honestly, the scene when he confronts the boys and is like, he calls it a thieving, whoring generation.
Yes.
But like, honestly, when he was like taking the scissors to their clothes, I was like, oh my God, I would love to do that to some teenager, but like, you know, a shitty one.
Yeah, just the shitty ones.
Yeah,
but they deserve it because they are really shitty boys.
But no, Henry Winkler A is good in this movie. But yeah, that shot of of Ghostface's reflection on his eye is just really, really good.
I do love things getting reflected in people's eyes. And yeah, this one's a banger.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, my next one is another line delivery. It comes all the way at the end of the film. I feel like Matthew Lillard is giving so much from this performance, but I always remember when he is slumped over the counter and it seems like all hope is lost for our villains, and he just goes, "My mom and dad are gonna be so mad at me."
Oh, dude, honestly, that was really good.
I could be a Matthew Lillard impersonator.
That was really good. No, but honestly, no, that line delivery, it is funny. It is so ridiculous in a scene that is not funny.
No.
But it works. It works because you can see how fucking reprehensible and like stupid Stu is.
Right? You're just like, oh, you have been either really misled by Billy or you are way stupider than we ever believed. Or maybe both.
Honestly, and I'm not saying I want this, I'm not trying to manifest this, but if we ever got like another Scream TV show, I would 100% watch.
Oh, you want that failed Scream 3 spin-off idea?
No. It's a prequel of sorts where like we are seeing Billy groom Stu to kill Maureen.
Oh, I see.
Like I want that. I want to see how this relationship worked.
Yeah, we did talk about that on Scream 3, where we hypothesized about the bridging between the Hollywood stuff with Roman and them. I guess the problem is that then we would have to see all the horrible shit happening to Maureen, and I don't want the Maureen backstory, but I do agree, I would be interested to see, like, how did this Billy and Stu thing come about?
See, I would like the Maureen backstory. I'm not saying I want to see the rape or the murder for that matter, but it's I actually wouldn't mind seeing Maureen and her family life. Maureen being with Cotton. And I am someone who doesn't give a shit about prequels. Honestly, like, if you're going to get me to watch a prequel, like, it better be amazing.
Right.
But for some reason, and I don't know why, this is a story that I would actually, I would really enjoy watching. I would love to see how this worked.
Interesting. Okay. I mean,
Anyway.
honestly, anything said in this universe, it's like, we are down. We have our money on the counter. Give us a ticket, please.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so my next one is a needle drop. Funnily enough, a song that I didn't even know what it was until about probably 2 years ago, and I finally figured it out and I downloaded it and I bought it.
Okay.
Whenever we cut to what is essentially the start of the climax, when we first go to the party, an hour into the movie, when there are still 50 minutes left,
my favorite.
we get Bird Brain's Youth of America.
Oh, yeah.
As we see Kenny and Gail drive up in their van, and Kenny drops a Cheetos bag on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Da, na, 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 na. I don't know. It's really good.
Yeah. And it's such a fun way to open that scene. Like, we're watching people approaching the party, and then we pause for a beat, and then we watch the van following them in, and you're just like, oh, Kenny, you don't even care about the environment. You're such a slob.
Wait, is this a famous song?
It's not, no, but...
Okay. Do people know it?
The band.
I've never heard of Bird Brain in my life.
You know what? I don't know.
Okay.
We're not music people. We've said that repeatedly.
It's fine. Okay, what's your next one?
Okay, mine is a single line of dialogue, and it's the only time that David Arquette's Dewey is going to show up on my list. I like him. He's not the thing that stands out to me in these movies, but I do love that moment after Sydney gets the call when she's staying at Tatum's, and she gets really upset, and she puts the phone down, and then Dewey picks it up, and he just goes, hello.
Oh, yes. Oh my God, that's really good. Look at you. Yeah, I don't have Dewey on any of my things, so it's I almost had. Nope, didn't have it. Nope, didn't have anything. Never had Dewey.
You're like, I almost. No, I really just didn't. No.
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I initially had the because it's from the commentary. Whenever he's talking to the sheriff, and he's licking an ice cream cone, and the sheriff is smoking a cigarette.
Yes.
And Wes Craven told him, "Hey, every time he takes a drag from a cigarette, lick the cone." And so that's just like that's all it is. And so that was on my list initially.
Okay, that's on my bonus list, and so I guess now I don't have to worry about covering it.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, my next one. I almost didn't put this on because I was like, fuck, I'm going to get in trouble for this. But
Okay.
Rose McGowan's nipples. They are...
Yeah.
They are so prominent. My favorite result of this, and again, everyone, we all know, right? It's when she opens the door to the garage and she is just there. And like, I mean...
They are erect, yes.
They are erect nipples, but there's this a meme is going around. It's been around forever, where it's like, how excited am I for X, like be it for Christmas or my birthday or whatever, and it's just a picture of Rose McGowan with her nipples out. I don't know what they were thinking when they did this. Like, it reminds me of Head Over Heels, that movie, whenever they're in the elevator and they're like,
no, come on.
No. But they're like, turned them on to headlights, and they twist their nipples to get them hard. And so I have this image of Rose McGowan, like, right before Wes Craven calls action, where she's just, like, twisting her nipples to, like, make them erect for this shot.
Whereas I think of Showgirls where they're doing the lineup and he goes, "What's wrong with your nipples? How come they're not erect? Play with them a little bit. I'm erect. Why aren't you erect?"
Yep. All of the above.
Oh boy. Okay, so my next one is also a Tatum, but clearly I fixated on dialogue because a lot of mine are dialogue, but I love the moment where Sydney is waiting for Tatum to come and pick her up because she is not safe in her house. And we don't even see Rose McGowan. We don't see Tatum. She's just on the phone and she's explaining that she may be a little bit late because she's going to swing by the video store and pick up a movie. She's thinking Tom Cruise in All the Right Moves. You know, if you pause just right, you can see his penis.
Yeah.
You're just like, Tatum, I get that you're a horny high school girl, but also fucking pick up your friend because she's been attacked.
Practice. Well, no, she hasn't been attacked yet.
She hasn't been attacked, but she's in danger.
Okay, but not yet. Nevertheless, I agree with you. I almost had this on my list too. Also, all these years since I've seen Scream and I've heard about All the Right Moves and Tom Cruise's penis, I have never seen All the Right Moves. I don't know what it's about, and I will probably never watch All the Right Moves.
Really? You don't want to pause it just right to see if you can see his penis?
You know, no, not really. I mean, if I knew Tom Cruise, I might be more inclined because it's like you always want to see what your friend's dick looks like. But honestly, with Tom, you don't.
No, we have talked about this before. You and I have very different interests in our friend's anatomy.
Whatever. Okay, listeners, if you ever want to know what your friends look like naked, and I'm not alone in that, please let me know because it's not even a sexual thing. I just want to see what they look like naked. I just want to see. Whatever.
No. You're going to get plenty of people who are going to agree with you, but I'm just telling you, you're weird.
You know what? I will accept the weirdness.
Yeah, because it gets you more dick.
Yeah.
What's your next one?
I'll go with that. Yeah. All right. So my next, and you're gonna roll your eyes because I tweeted about this, and I know I've told you about it before. But whenever Tatum gets her head squished, if you pause it at just the right time,
you can see her penis.
She looks like Michael Jackson, but late in his life, Michael Jackson. And
wow, you are like cruising for offensive picks here, man.
I thought you said cruising for a bruising. I was like, that's what my dad used to say before he spanked me. So no, you can pause it right at this moment, when her head gets squished. It's a split second, but I swear to God, she looks like Michael Jackson, and I thought I was alone in that. But I tweeted out a picture, and I had 3 people that were like, I thought I was the only one that thought that. And you know what? Validation.
Wow, Scream is really bringing people together.
All right, what's your next one?
Okay, so mine is an amusing thing that the film can't be faulted for. It's a legacy piece, and it gets funnier the further we get away from it, but it's every time that they say the words cellular telephone.
Oh, that's a good one, Joe.
It's just like it earmarks the film in a very specific way, in a similar vein to the number of repeated references to Sharon Stone. We're like, oh, people don't talk about Sharon Stone on the regular anymore. But back in 1996, we talked about cellular telephones and Sharon Stone all the time.
Okay, wait. Sharon's obviously Basic Instinct is 92. What did... Oh, Casino was probably like 95, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of when... I think Sphere is after this, but that wouldn't have made popular consciousness.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's 97 for sure. She has that short haircut?
Yes, indeed. I think it's just mostly when you think of a woman with a lot of sexual agency in the 90s, you're probably thinking of... I mean, I'm assuming it's a reference to her character in Basic Instinct, even though the film is pretty far removed at that point.
Did she not really have a stalker?
Oh, I actually don't know.
See, that I don't either, but I just assumed that Kevin Williamson, she did. Kevin Williamson was like, oh, that's a real-life piece of pop culture trivia. I'm going to put that in the movie.
I will say, I have also quoted at various points in my life when people are like, oh, are you not supposed to be here? Are you supposed to be somewhere else? And I'm like, well, I'm supposed to be in New York covering the Sharon Stone stalker, but who knew? And they're always like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Honestly, the who knew is a really good line delivery from Cox. Okay, so again, I have seen Scream 50 plus times, a lot of times.
Yes.
And watching it again this week, I was like, Sydney's has a chase scene that lasts for about 15 minutes in the end of this movie. Ghostface stabs Billy. She runs out of the house. He corners her in the house. She jumps out a window. She sees Tatum's body. She almost gets hit by Gale. She runs to the van. Kenny's there. She runs to the house. Blah, blah, blah. Like, it is a long-ass chase scene. I'm sitting here like, why don't we talk about this chase scene in the pantheon of, like, greatest horror chase scenes? And, next to Sarah Michelle Gellar from I Know You Did Last Summer.
Right.
It is because it's broken up. Like,
Yes.
we have a shot of Dewey going in the house. We have Gale doing, like, get off my fucking Quijia. But the thing is, it is the same chase. So while it may be a scene that is broken up with cutaways to other characters, it is still the same chase scene. And I am like, you know what? Fuck it. This 15-minute long chase scene is a reason that I love this movie.
Okay. Yeah, when I saw you posting that, I was definitely the person who thought, no, it's not really one. And then when I saw you elaborating on it at length, I was like, oh, okay, he's making some valid points. I do think that the problem is that it's not presented as a single continuous chase scene,
right.
So it becomes harder for us to kind of reconcile that. But yeah, I mean, like, she is on the run for the entire last act of this movie.
Okay, and I'm not saying anyone has to go out and do this, but here's the thing. Splice together her scenes and remove the introductions to other characters, because I can promise you that will be an epic chase scene.
Yes.
This is an editing issue, right? Because the editor could have just done it, but we have too many characters to worry about. But I bet you if you splice them together, you would have a really epic chase scene that would rival Sarah Michelle Gellar's. But also I was like, well, maybe it's because she's the final girl and she doesn't die. So the chase scene doesn't lead to her death.
I mean, when we talk about Scream 2 and the epic chase scenes in those, neither Gale nor Sydney dies in those. So I don't think it's a condition that you have to die at the end of an epic chase scene, but yeah. But I too would love that. So yeah, if somebody wants to do a little bit of a splicey cut job and send it to us, like, please do.
And we will promote the fuck out of it.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, so my next one is one that I know will not show up on your list because it is costume-based, and I know that you don't see costumes.
Correct.
So mine is Skeet Ulrich's ribbed white t-shirt.
I thought you were going to go for the glittery Ghostface costume, but yeah, continue.
I do like the way that it catches the light, yes, but there's something so classically all-Americana about this. Like, it's a white shirt and jeans, and of course it gets progressively more bloody as he first fakes it and then actually gets stabbed. But it reminds me of James Dean. It reminds me of, like, the kind of boy next door. Like, whenever you talk about, oh, what do people look like when they're being casual but still sexy? It's a white t-shirt and jeans. And I love that this one is a play on that because you give it a little bit of ribbing just to give it some texture. But it's so suggestive to me of why we should trust Billy and how the film knows that and uses it against us because he's actually the villain.
No, I think that's totally fair. And also the James Dean comparison.
I don't understand, but sure.
No. Honestly, I hung up on the James Dean comparison because I agree with you, and I had just never thought about that before.
Okay.
So my last one is, unfortunately, the most obvious one. It is the two killers.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's the first time this has ever been done because I'm sure it's been done before, but the two killers is ingenious. Because again, the whole time you're watching this movie, you're like, well, it can't be that person because they're here when this is happening, and blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
And it's great. It's great. I remember the first time seeing it when Billy was revealed. I was like, oh, that's kind of disappointing. And then Stu walks around.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy fuck. That is ingenious. And it's so funny because it set the stage for the sequels to where every time we're like, well, we're waiting for two killers. Like, that is just what it is. And all of them, except for 3, it is two killers.
Yep.
And I would argue in the sequels, it doesn't matter because it all works. It works for every single one of them. But
sure, yeah.
It works here so well, and it's such a big surprise, and it really pulls the rug out from under you, especially if you're like a super sleuth who's like, well, I know who it is because it's this. Okay, well, you know what? It may be who you think it is, but it's also this other person.
Yeah, and it's a move that so many slasher films that followed copied, and it's also given, like, plenty of bizarre internet fodder. Like, when I was looking at clips of Scream on YouTube, the number one recommended video on the sidebar was who did which killings. Had over 1 million views.
So many. And honestly, it's why I'm really excited for our Scream 4 episode, because that's what, I mean, Unfortunately, you have to suspend disbelief because one of the killers is noticeably shorter than the other. but that's one where I'm excited. Like, okay, who did what kill? Like, it's so good.
Oh god, that's always my least favorite part of the Scream episodes is when you make me like guess / when you tell me who you think it is. I'm like, okay,
oh my
fine,
god,
whatever.
It's fun. It's fun. It's a fun little game. It's a party.
It's a fun little game. I'm just gonna be like, it was Jill in platform heels the whole time.
See, and here's the thing. I think Charlie did most of the kills in Scream 4.
Probably,
I think the only one she really did was her mother. But sorry, spoiler alert for Scream 4. But moving on. What's your last one?
And by the
Joe?
way, that was not your last one because I got you 2 bonus ones, so you still have 1 more and then a bonus.
Oh, right, because I skipped it. Okay, yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so the last 2 are very broad, all-encompassing facets. So my second last one is the fact that this film gives Wes Craven his 3rd decade-defining horror film after, you can take your pick, it's either Last House on the Left or The Hills Have Eyes in the 70s, and then A Nightmare on Elm Street in the 80s. And I love that Wes Craven changed horror every 10 years.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I'm trying to think, what did he do in the 2000s? There was Cursed.
2000s are a little bit not as good for him.
Yeah, you might 70s, 80s, 90s. You know what? 3 decades, that's a good mark.
Yeah, pretty good.
Okay, well, so then for my actual last one, I'm going to pick, you know what? I'll end in a Gale line. Guess I remember the safety that time. Bastard. I love this delivery.
Right.
Again, this is Williamson knowing the way to go, because you think Gale has gotten the final kill, but then he changes it and gives his final girl the killing blow.
Right.
Sidney kills both of them, actually. But there is something so cathartic about Gale's, I guess I remember the safety that time, bastard. Like, again, this is a side character that he did not have to give this moment of a victory to, but he does.
And who, in any other film, probably would have just died.
Well, yes. I mean, again, because when they filmed this scene, Dewey was dead, and Gale was knocked out on a post somehow.
Yeah, there's a couple of moments of logistics where you just think, oh, would that have knocked her out? Maybe, I guess. Oh, you know what? Who fucking cares? Let's just go with it.
It's fine. It's totally fine. So that may be a little anticlimactic for my final one, but I do love that line.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm excited to hear about your bonus picks as well. So my last one is very similar to the one that I just delivered before this, but it is the fact that arguably one, if not the most important film in contemporary horror, was written by an out gay man in Kevin Williamson.
You know what? That's fair. I'm a little upset I didn't think to do that, but you are correct.
I think just because the more I reflect on Scream, and Scream as a franchise, but specifically this first one, it is so important, but it's also so undeniably queer. Like, it is just infused with queerness, from the quippiness of the dialogue, from obviously the killer reveal, as we've talked about numerous times, even the way that Jamie Kennedy is queer-coded as Randy, who I'm surprised we've not talked about at all in this episode, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's just, this movie is super fucking queer, and it's Kevin Williamson pouring himself into his passion project, and then it becomes the biggest thing in horror that we have seen in, like, forever.
And here's the thing. I mean, I feel like this is Kevin, out of all the Scream films, this is Kevin Williamson at his most unchained, like his least tampered with.
Right.
That being said, and this is no disrespect for the writers that wrote Scream 2022, I would like to see a Scream film written by Kevin Williamson that has not been tampered with by the Weinsteins. Like,
right.
Like a completely original, unaffected Kevin Williamson Scream script.
Right.
And I don't think we'll ever get it, but nevertheless, it's still a pipe dream of mine where I'm like, I would love to see what he would do.
Right.
But yeah, no, I agree. The fact that we have an out gay man that pretty much pioneered, that resuscitated a dying genre in the 90s. And yeah, yes, it's not just Williamson. Craven contributed to this. The Weinsteins contributed to this. The cast contributed to this. I mean, there's a lot of factors. But we would not be here without Kevin Williamson.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Okay, so hit me with your bonus round. I've got a couple, you've got a couple. Let's do this rapid fire.
First one is a line that I never heard until probably about 5 years ago, and it is when Dewey brings Gale into the party and Tatum says, "Take your media muff."
Oh.
I love that. Media muff. That's so good.
Yes. Yeah. It's spot on. Okay. My first bonus is Linda Blair's cameo where she says, "The people want to know. The people have a right to know." Okay.
I'm sure it's a GIF somewhere, but literally when I type it into Twitter, like, it never pops up. So I need someone to send me the... I mean, I can make it. But please someone send me the GIF. The people have a right to know!
I love it. Yeah, because it's like, it's so applicable in so many different circumstances. And I love that Linda Blair gets a cameo in this.
It's honestly, whenever someone like covertly tweets about their alt, oh my god, my alt account, and I'm like, well, just fucking tell us what it is, man.
Exactly. The people have a right to know.
Yes. All right, next for me, Sydney's closet door. I have never seen this used in a movie before, but the fact that one door locks the other when you open it up, it's so fucking awesome. It's a great, and that's in the commentary where Wes Craven is like, we were looking for a house that had this kind of door, and I was like, what the fuck, you found it.
Right? The pipe dream, because why the fuck would you ever build a room this way?
Yep.
Okay, mine is the only audio cue that I picked out of this entire list, and it is the use of Red Right Hand to set the mood. So I love how it gets used as they're shutting all the doors, and then we get the reference to the town that dreaded sundown. You know, the fact that it gets recycled in subsequent films proves to me that it is such an important part of this film and the franchise.
I agree with you, and we will talk about this in Scream 4, but my only big gripe with Scream 4 is that we do not have Red Right Hand in that movie.
Right? Like, we better be fucking getting it in this new one.
They have to. Okay, my next one's a cheat because I'm using two quotes, but I'm just going to do it. One, looks like you fingered the wrong guy. Again!
Mm-hmm.
There's something about saying that you fingered. I know what I know what it literally means, but all I can think about is Neve Campbell sticking her finger up Skeet Ulrich's butthole. So, there's that.
Okay. And thank you for that.
I also love, and this is also my dad, because my dad thought this is the funniest thing in the world. Whenever she calls Billy at the end and she's like, "You gotta find me first, you pansy ass mama's boy."
And I do love that also then comes back in the second film, right? When Randy describes Billy and he's like, yeah, he was a homo-repressed mama's boy.
He's a pussy-ass wet rag.
Yeah, there are some really good insults in the Scream franchise and in this first film.
100%.
It's called tact, you fuck rag.
Fuck rag. What a weird
Such
insult.
A weird phrase.
Okay. Are you on your last one?
I'm on my last one, yeah.
Cool.
And it's a weird one. It's not one I would have picked to have ended on, but I think it's a great visual moment because it was in all of the trailers. It's the moment where Sydney is hanging onto the window and then Ghostface grabs her and she falls through thin air for seemingly forever and then lands on Stu's boat.
No, but you know what, though? That's a really good jump scare, though, because that shot, because she's hanging off the windowsill.
And screaming for help, yep.
It is accompanied by a music cue, but...
You'll allow it?
It is it's effective. It works.
Yes.
It's kind of it's not a wide shot, but it's far enough out where you're like, okay, we're not like cramped in the space with her. But the second you see his hand come out and grab her, it is like, let go, bitch! And she does.
Yeah, thankfully she does.
All right, my last and final one is the girl behind Randy in the video store who just looks at him and shakes her head disapprovingly when he says, "There's always some stupid bullshit reason to kill your girlfriend."
There's a lot of great extras kicking around this movie. My favorite is the girl who asks about
the werewolf movie with E.T.'s mom in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Howling.
Well, that's the problem. I was like, yeah, it's the Howling, and then I'm like, no, that's not the joke. That's not the line.
Again, we haven't talked about Randy, but the whole thing is like, a lot of horror fans see themselves in Randy, understandably so.
Sure.
The issue is that Randy also embodies a lot of incel culture.
Yeah, he's one of those elements that hasn't aged quite as well, which is no fault on Jamie Kennedy because he is killing it as this character. And I think that's the area I continue to focus on when I watch the first two films, is that he still connects to me. It's just not the creepy, insidious side of him.
Right. No, 100% for sure. But yeah, I mean, y'all, that is 25 and then some reasons that we love Scream.
Gosh, 25 years, Trace. It's kind of wild.
And once a year talking about this movie.
I guess so. Yeah, we just can't stop fucking talking about this movie.
So everyone, we hope you enjoyed this special release, because this is a Monday, which is not normally our day for dropping off episodes, but, you know, it's the anniversary of Scream, so what the fuck?
Yeah, we couldn't pass it up.
That being said, though, please keep your podcatchers in, tune?
Sure, yeah.
Because in 2 days, we will have a new episode dropping, and it's not going to be a regular episode. We're not going to be covering a movie, per se, but we will be doing a 2021 year roundup, as well as a blooper reel. And let me tell y'all, I have listened to all these bloopers, and they are delightful. So if you want to hear us make fools of ourselves, tune in on Wednesday.
Indeed. And just for clarification, we're not doing a roundup of like all the films that we really enjoyed this year.
No.
Bitches, you gotta pay for that on the Patreon. That's gonna be the first episode back in January when we're doing the Hereditaries.
100%. No, we're going to be talking about ourselves as a roundup.
Oh, God. Yeah. Well, yeah, we're going to talk about the conversations we really enjoyed this year, give a big shout out to all of our guests, and a couple of other fun things. So if you like to get a glimpse behind how we orchestrate everything to do with the pod, and yes, those fucking bloopers, tune in on Wednesday.
Agreed. But until then, I think we can cross out 25 reasons we love Scream.
And cross out horror queers.
Hello, I'm Shelby Scott, the host of Scare You to Sleep, a podcast where I tell you spooky bedtime stories full of creepy sound effects and music that is soothing yet unsettling to help immerse you into a world of horror. This is a show for those of us who have realized horror can be a strange but relaxing escape from reality. Speaking of escapes, sometimes I lead you through guided nightmares, like a guided meditation, but instead of flowery meadows, I take you on a journey through your own personal nightmare. So come get lost in the terror with me. Listen to Scare You to Sleep wherever you listen to podcasts, or find us online at bloody.fm. Sweet screams.